Hey, Immanuel family. I'm here with Sam, and we want to give you some updates with regard to our search for our lead teacher, as well as All In. It's been April since the last time you heard from us, so we felt like we wanted you to hear from us on a Sunday morning where we're sure that you get the information that we want you to know. Additionally, the information that we've shared to this point is available at emmanuelhome.org/updates. There you can find all the emails that we've sent out, along with any videos that we've shared since last September. So with that, Sam, did you want to kind of talk to us about where we are with the transition?
I think we're about 9 months out from when Josh left, and so we are moving forward with things, but I want to remind us that Jesus is and always has been the leader of our church, and that we have been on mission helping people know Jesus and grow to be like him through the transition time and moving into the future. We are an elder-led church along with our staff who helps lead and manage the day-to-day operations. Josh was the face that you saw as the leader, but he did not do that in isolation. He did that with a group of people around him. I would like to acknowledge the staff who has done a great job by providing sound biblical teaching on Sunday mornings, having spirit-led worship, good disciple-based kids and youth programs, and providing community groups and care resources to those of our congregation and in the area. And I'd also like to thank them for doing a great job of just stepping up and running and leading the church in a great fashion these past 9 months.
Thank you, Sam. I really appreciate that. It has been a team effort with the elders and the staff, but also with the congregation, where we could not be here where we are with what we've done without everyone being involved. One of the things that we'd like to do is walk you through a brief history of September through now so that you understand where we've been and where we are now. So for those who may not know, if you're new to Immanuel, in September our senior pastor resigned. And at that time, it was unexpected, and so that required us to do a lot of things to start to prepare for our next leader. What we did first was spend a lot of time praying. And coming off of that, we determined that we needed to hear from experts who help churches navigate transitions. And so we spent a significant amount of time in September and October on a weekly basis listening to those consultants give us advice and tell us what things we should be looking out for and what's the best way to go. When that was over, we actually went on a retreat in November to, again, continue to hear from God, as well as look at and think through the things that we were told. And since then, we've developed a plan in December that we've been executing since that time to bring us to a point where we'll have a lead teacher somewhere 18 to 24 months from this past September. One of the questions that I think that is really important and that we hear a lot from people is why so long? Why does it take so long to go from one position to the next? Because in most cases, what we find is that someone leaves a job, you put an advertisement out, and you hire someone else. Sam, would you like to address that question?
Yes. So part of the reason it takes so long is we want to make sure we're hiring the right person for Immanuel, okay? And not just have anybody come in that doesn't match our belief systems and things like that. So that's part of the reason it takes long. In the process of that, we've been doing a lot of things, reviewing a lot of documents and different stuff we'll talk about in just a moment. But we've told you right from the beginning, we were told this is an 18 to 24 month process is the average hiring time. And that's what it took when we hired Josh, who was actually an inside candidate. It still took us 2 years to go through that process. And that was around the same length of time that we took us to hire Joe Borman back in I think it was 1989, something like that. So this is a long process. It is slow, but we're working diligently and moving forward in such a way that we are going to be hiring the right person for the job. So
I think it's important to know what are some of the things that we're looking at in this process. And so it's things like our leadership model, our constitution, our bylaws, our guiding principles, our position papers, our philosophy of ministry, and policies and procedures. And again, we look at all those documents to make sure that the model and the documents match where we're going, and that we bring the right person in that matches those. And we want to get this right. We don't want to find ourselves having to do this again in a short period of time. We're hoping that when we bring someone on, that there's a long tenure in that relationship. And so that's why we take our time in this process.
So as a church right now, we've been on a course for approximately 125 years. And we are looking for a person to come in and continue to guide us along that course and not change into a new direction. We are healthy and strong. We know what our purpose and our mission is, and so we're going to be searching for someone to come alongside us and keep our ship going in the direction we're going, and just help us fine-tune some things to keep us moving towards the course that we have.
Yeah, I think that's really important to understand. I also think that what shows is that we've been on course since Josh left, and that doesn't change for us. We may make some adjustments here and there, but we're true, as you said early on, to the mission of Immanuel. And we have a strong eldership body and a strong staff and a strong community that allows us to be able to do that. And so, one of the things that one of the consultants said that was really important is, because we have that strength, what we don't want to do is kind of defer any major decisions or do things until that person comes to save us, because over that time, everything erodes. We're capable and have been capable of continuing on what started 125 years ago. And so that's why we feel confident in this approach as we take our time, but still be diligent in bringing someone on.
So one of the things that we've spent a lot of time on is developing a leadership model that might look a touch different than what we're used to or have seen in the past. In many ways, it will look the same. Usually there's one person that's the face of Immanuel, and we will still have a lead person who would probably be that person that would be the lead. We are seeing some of those changes to the leadership model already in relationship to, we have multiple teachers who have been teaching us on Sundays. They work together as a group to develop sermons, and those are all a part of the new model that we are looking at to build a stronger community, to build stronger sermons and lessons and everything that goes with that. So that's just one area that has taken a lot of our time as we've been moving forward to find the right person for the future.
Yeah, so I think another part that's important about having the multiple teachers and having a lead teacher is that it allows that person, as you said, to focus in on teaching and shepherding. And back in February, we asked the congregation via a questionnaire to provide us with input about things that they wanted to see as we go through this transition. And one of the things that we heard consistently was around capacity for the lead teacher and the responsibilities that go with that, especially for a church our size. And so I think as we start to think about that role differently, we create that capacity, especially because we do have, again, leadership at the elder level and at the staff level, and that one person doesn't have to carry that full burden. Another question that we have routinely received is, where are we in the process of engaging a search firm to help us in finding a new lead teacher? That's something that you can answer for us, Sam?
Yeah, so we've initiated the process of vetting research firms, and we are hoping that we can currently engage the company to start the active search in late summer, early fall. So it is a little bit off, but at least we can see the light at the end of the tunnel with that.
Well, I think that's encouraging, because we are engaging them right about a year in, and if we're engaged by that time, we should definitely have someone in 6 months to a year at the absolute latest, depending on the availability of candidates. And so I think it's important to know that we're still on target with regard to what we initially said, which was 18 to 24 months.
Yep.
Yeah,
we're right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next thing for us to talk about is All In, and give you some updates there about what we've been doing, what we've been thinking about, and where we're going. I think the best way to do that is to start with a history of what we've done to this point. So what I'll do is I'll take you back to March of last year, at the beginning of COVID. we were set for the first or second week in April to actually have groundbreaking on our new auditorium. And because of COVID, we had to push that back. And we were thinking, this was going to be a 2-week thing and then we'd be back to it, but that wasn't the case. And so we pushed it back even further. And as the further we got into COVID, the more we realized we need more time. We did not groundbreak, obviously, last year because we had to make a decision to do so by July of last year, July of 2020. If we did not do that, then we wouldn't have a covered structure through the winter. And so when we realized we weren't going to make the July date, we determined that the earliest that we'd do something would be in the April of this year. As the year continued on and we looked at trends and scheduling and attendance and things like that, we had some concerns. And so our conversation started to be around, is this the right timing? And if so, how do we execute that? So that kind of gives you a brief history of where we are. Back in December, we did say, here's an alternative that we threw out as a thought. Again, that's not our plan. What we are doing is exploring the best, way forward with, the funds that you have graciously given us, and being good stewards of that.
So based on the history that we have related to that, what you just went through, we do have had some questions that have been given to us. And one is, when will the decision be to build? The earliest it would be, we'd make that decision is in the fall if we're going to be breaking ground next spring. So that would be the earliest that we would be making the decision is this fall. What options are being considered is another question. We would build as planned. It might be a modified plan. It could be a different plan, maybe something similar to what we talked about in December? Mm-hmm. Or it could be that we need to delay again, and that's going to be based on multiple factors, construction cost, to how many people are actually coming to in-house services versus watching online. So there's a lot of things to be considered related to that.
Well, while we're considering it, I think it's important for the congregation to know that the elders, the all-in team, the building team, and the staff are all currently in a time of prayer and fasting for God's discernment on exactly what way we need to go. And part of that prayer for discernment is an alignment of our hearts and our desires with what we believe God wants for us. So if you could be praying for us in that time as well as we come to a conclusion on our decision on what we need to do, that'd be really helpful.
The other question we're getting is, why are we not making a decision to build now and not waiting until next year? And a lot of it has to do with what we just said. And we want to make sure we're being good stewards of the money that you have provided and your faithfulness. We don't want to do something that was unwise or something that would be wasteful for the future. So, and the last question we've been getting, are we still collecting money towards all in? And the answer is yes. And again, I want to thank you that have been giving for your faithfulness, that it puts us in a position to be able to build in the future. So,
yeah, I think the other thing to note is that we do need space. It's not that we don't need space. And so we're trying to determine what's the best way to create the space that we need. So that's why we are still accepting money toward all in, because we know that we do need to do something. Well, thank you for allowing us to answer these questions and give you an update. If you have any questions, please shoot us an email at elders@immanuelhome.org, and the elders will reply to you. If you want to see the history of the communications we've had to date, it's immanuelhome.org/updates. Thank you so much for your time.